अपनी सजाए मौत से पहले 2012 में अजमल कसाब ने ये कबूल किया कि जो 26/11 के अटैक्स हुए थे मुंबई में उसका मास्टरमाइंड लश्कर-ए-तैयबा था और ज़ाकिर रहमान लखवी इसके पीछे मास्टरमाइंड थे। 26/11 के अटैक तो आपकी याद ही होंगे। 8 अटैक साइमल्टेनियसली मुंबई में हुए थे जिन्होंने पूरे देश को हिला दिया। 300 से ज़्यादा लोग मारे गए थे उन अटैक्स में और उनका एक एपिसेंटर था ताज होटल ऑफ मुंबई। और किस्मत वाले कुछ जो बच पाए थे उन्होंने आगे जाके बहुत मुकाम हासिल किए। उन्हीं में से हमारे साथ एक हैं अंकुर चावला, जिन्होंने वो अटैक सर्वाइव किया, बाद में जाके टेडेक्स स्पीकर बने, ही वाज जॉश टॉक स्पीकर। उन्होंने अपना एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप जर्नी स्टार्ट की एंड ही इज अ रिनाउंड सोमेलियर फ्रॉम दिल्ली। सो वेलकम मिस्टर अंकुर चावला। बस 10 सेकंड रुक जाओ दोस्तों, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और मुझे पूरा यकीन है आप ये वीडियो बहुत इंजॉय करेंगे। मेरी मेहनत रही है एपिसोड ला पाया हूँ। प्लीज सब्सक्राइब और नोटिफिकेशन बटन जरूर दबाएं और मेरे वीडियोस और कंटेंट के साथ जुड़े रहें। धन्यवाद।
Are you aware of an individual who is all of these things, has a brand of himself, is an entrepreneur, an author, a TEDx speaker, and he is a survivor of the 26/11 attacks? So meet the man himself, Ankur Chawla. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
Pleasure, sir. Pleasure all.
First of all, please tell us about a little bit about your survival experience over at the 26/11 attacks in Taj Hotel at Mumbai, where you were working as the head of beverages. You were in the bar arena when the attack happened, and your life changed then after. So please, थोड़ा सा हमारे दर्शकों को बताइए उसके बारे
Okay, we change the gears, flashback. Huh?
में. Okay.
So I was working at Harbour Bar at that point of time. This was 2008, 26/11. Regular job चल रहा था यार. I was not, I mean, like a regular day. Busy, this, that. I was talking to guests. But suddenly, of course, we heard the gunshot. I always say this, a lot of times people ask me कि कैसे हुआ, क्या हुआ. Like, हमको ना gunshot सुनने की आदत नहीं है. Like, if there is a noise somewhere, it is a noise to me. The first thing that will come to mind is not a gunshot for sure. So जब वो noise आया था बाहर से बहुत जोर की, I remember बहुत प्यारा, it done a beautiful setup of champagne outside in the Harbour Bar. So I still remember very clearly that I felt that champagne का bottle गिर गया or it has popped out or something, and I was thinking, oh shit, that was a very expensive bottle of champagne. So what would have happened? Would it be deducted from my stipend? I think that was the first thought that came to my mind.
The usual stuff.
Usual stuff. But yeah, I mean, one thing led to the other. We realized this is much bigger than what we were thinking. Again, initially, nahi laga tha ki it is this big a problem or this big a stance, because, as I said, we're not used to all of this. So initially, we all sort of started shifting from one place to the other. From the bar, we went to the restaurant on the first floor. Uske baad, we went to the back areas, and things were just unfolding one after the other. Initially, I remember कह रहे थे कि दो गेस्ट में आपस में फाइट हो गया है. Then I think the news came out that it's a gang war. Then I think by the morning, almost 4:35 in the morning is when we realized that this is much bigger. This is a terrorist attack. Because you were inside like a frog in the pond. You were not sure on what's happening outside. So whatever information we were getting, we were just absorbing that. And every minute there was something or the other that was coming through. So yeah, it was a weird experience for that matter. But yeah,
So how many bunch of people were you there? आप लोग कितने लोग एक साथ फंसे हुए थे?
यार अलग अलग जगहों पे थे. So I would say when we were at the bar, we were only 5 of us as the hotel mates, and there were about, I think, 45-50 odd guests. But then we keep changing the situation or the location. I think I remember Chambers ke time pe is when we sort of started getting apart from each other, when there was another gunshot that fire that happened openly. Us time pe we were, I think, about 150 plus minus guests, and we were, I think, about 30-35 employees. And then we all ran wherever we could because there was an open fire. And then final jo mera stage tha, I was heading with just 4-5 of us in the living room, and then we had clothes on us so that there was no light to be seen in that space.
166 people died.
Yeah.
67 लोग मरे थे ताज incident में. And how did you deal with that trauma after getting out of it? Were you able to get over that immediately? कोई psychologist को आपको दिखाना पड़ा था? How you act?
I saw some people who had to go to the psychologist. There were a lot of yoga workshops. There was a lot of, workshops which were done to get over that. But I think we were so much involved. Like I remember 29th morning, we all went inside. I went with the commandos to show them because the back areas were very tough. We were in the batches. उनको दिखाने के लिए लेके गए. After that, I think it didn't it didn't affect me mentally too much in the negative manner. But I think what happened is, कहते हैं ना कि, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. So I think that is what happened with me after a point of time. And I think उसके बाद ना, your decision making skills have become much better. I don't know better or not, but much easier. I think the flashback definitely comes. One definitely feels that the life is, very unpredictable. With due respect, we are sitting right now chit-chatting. I don't know if we will reach home or not. I mean, there could be a possibility. At that moment, like, you don't think too much, you don't plan too much. You're not very serious about your life as you were maybe before that decision. I think that is how it has impacted me. Otherwise, I think I've just become a bolder person. I mean, I don't care as much, which I used to maybe earlier. So I think that is how it has affected me. Of course, there is a bit of trauma. There are a bit of bits and pieces that remain inside you, which keeps haunting you at times.
Do you still have any nightmares, any flashbacks? That.
आ जाते हैं, आ जाते हैं. It's a very natural human tendency. I mean, I would be very wrong, or rather, it would not be right for me to say that I'm very brave. कुछ नहीं होता है. It's a very human tendency. I'm sure people who were not even like you were not even around, but still you can relate with that incident because it's very close to the country for that matter. So I think sitting inside, of course,
and I feel even more connected now that I have you here, and I feel a little more personal about that attack.
That happens. I think that was one of the reasons also I wrote the book. And I came back, a lot of people were asking me weird questions.
Well, here's the book, 14 Hours.
Yeah.
So check it out on Amazon. Google it, you'll find it, 14 Hours, an insider attack of 26/11 Taj attack. Uske baad, how did Taj change as an entity after the attack?
I think the good thing was that Taj didn't change. It has been very warm. It has been very kind to all the employees that it has been a very big but a very tightly knit family. I mean, मेरे को हो गया अभी काफी time. I quit in 2012 and have been working in different areas and since. But today also, when I go back to Taj in Delhi or Taj in Bombay, whenever I go to Bombay, I make sure like I have to just visit that place once. I still feel very connected. And I think as an organization, I mean, enough and more has been said, and we know about Tata as a group.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Taj has been even more stronger, if I may. Like I remember 21st of December, we were sitting in the lobby at the festivity desk. And we were up and running. I mean, of course, there were areas of the hotel which was completely shut. But 26th November, this happened. And 21st of December, the hotel was, I mean, there could not be a better way to tell the world how strong we are. So I think Taj has been as strong, and I think as big, tightly the family.
Well, absolutely. That there been any change in security measures? Is there any change in the curriculum of the staff? How do you suggest have been small?
That I think has happened overall. Like if you see hotels, do
they prepare them with martial arts nowadays and karate and stuff? Just to be better prepared. I think that should be added to the curriculum. By the way.
Sure. That I'm not sure of the detail, but I think now if you see overall, I'll tell you the problem was, I remember discussing with the security manager as well. If you see any hotel pan India or globally for that matter, any 5-star hotel, normally what happens is there is a boundary, then there is a small, a way of either vehicles passing through, or there's a walkway, or there's a boundary, and then there's a gap, and then the building starts of the hotel. But if you recall, Taj ka, if you open the window, you're literally on the door. You get out the door, you're literally on the road itself. So there is no boundary as such. So as it is, I think the hotel is very tough when it comes to security measures and controlling that. And I think this was something which is very unprecedented, completely unacceptable, or unprepared for that matter. So I don't think ज़्यादा preparation हो सकती थी. But if you see now, all the hotels pan India have started doing a lot of security checks. पहले गाड़ी अंदर जाती थी, इतना checking नहीं होता था. Metal detector था, but every single baggage was not getting checked as much as let's say the airport security. But now I think the securities have definitely increased a lot more. I remember उस time पे security was not allowed to have any ammunition with them. So you literally could have only dandas with you. But now I think that has surely changed. So securities across the globe has actually improved or much gone beyond. And I think thanks to, like you were discussing, thanks to a lot of IT, the cameras, the face scanning, it's really gone much beyond than what we can think.
So there are a lot of things that revolve around the mystery of Taj. So can you help us and entertain the audience a little bit in that way?
There are actually a lot of them. एक तो होता है ना कि the hotel is about 100 plus years old.
Yeah.
So obviously, there are back area talks that always goes through.
Haunted rooms?
यहाँ पे haunted का नहीं था, but there were weird stories. Like I remember there was this guy who said that this particular office, automatically the printer works in the night at 2, 3, and then the printouts will come out in the morning. But yeah, haunted ka, I don't think. I mean, in fact, we had this, let's say, we were afraid of going back to the hotel as employees when the hotel was reopening, particularly through the same back area. I mean, obviously, this is a very natural thing. Comes to the mind. कि जब हम kitchen में थे, then we know that this is the area where a couple of our colleagues, died. So obviously, when you're crossing that area, those thoughts definitely come to your mind. But I think haunted wala angle Taj में तो नहीं था. To what I remember, there are a couple of hotels in the hills where you know that. But yeah, haunted वाला नहीं.
सत्यनारायण टाइप का पाठ कुछ कराया था वहाँ पे after?
बहुत सारी पूजा हुई थी. In fact, with all religion, they had done a lot of prayers. In fact, when the reopening happened, I remember we were all supposed to walk. There was this entire ceremony of sorts that happened on I think it was on the 21st of December itself. And there were a lot of people from the world which actually came in to show the love, support to the hotel. There were prayers that happened. I remember there was this huge walkway that was made, and all the employees, particularly the victims or the survivors also, and their families were, sort of making a small little appearance, and people were just applauding them. Right?
So how were the families compensated, the ones who lost them?
I would not know all the details, but they were compensated really well. There was not even a single family who came back. Is what employees were taken good care of, particularly the ones who lost the life. I think there was enough and more that was done than one could ask for. Is what I mean, of course, there is no barter when it comes to losing a life. There is no way you can actually compensate that. But I think Tatas
Did their best.
Yeah, Tatas did their best. In fact, even I remember after that, my parents were very, concerned about it. I come from a typical business class family, so my dad was like, "Leave it, come back," because this is the first time I was out in Bombay and doing my thing or whatever. And dad was like, "Come back, leave the job if need be." So I requested internally. There were a few things that was done, and I think I got a transfer to Delhi within 3 to 4 months, which usually is not very easy to get. So I think if a management trainee at that level was getting hurt by the top guys, I'm sure people who were affected more definitely looked at much better way.
Wine, sharab, ये सब पीने का शौक कब से चढ़ा आपको? That you became a champion at drinking.
I'll tell you very honestly, मैं बदनाम ज़्यादा हूँ. I don't drink. I drink very less. I make sure people drink. That is the job. So I'll tell you when in 2009, 10, 11 is when I was working very closely in Wasabi, like I mentioned. And वहाँ पे ना we used to sell a lot of good wines, expensive stuff like 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh की bottle we used to sell. I remember one of my ex-bosses, he pushed me for this wine sommelier championship or a competition. And I said, no, sir, I don't know too much. Like, I am selling good wines, great. But I think it's the audience also, right? I mean, you need the right person to buy that. And because of that person, I'm able to sell it. So he said, no, you must try and you must go. I just told you, I've done a lot of theaters in my school days.
Yeah.
So I remember, I realized that एक हफ्ते में competition था and I was pushed for it. And I remember, I didn't know too much about technicalities, right, at that point in time. But I knew theaters. And I had seen a lot of videos online to check out what the best sommeliers look like and what do they do.
Is it going where I think?
Absolutely, it is. So I faked it. So I learned whatever I could in the 1 week, memorized it and stuff. But then I used to stand in front of the mirror and it's just like, swirl the glass. Nice, tight. Then you learn the term. Right?
Ladies and gentlemen, Sommelier of the Year 2016.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah.
And I was not even thinking that I'm, worth participating in that competition. So when I came back, I realized that I'm not that bad. Thoda bahut to pata hai abhi. And that's when I think the interest got into wines and stuff. And once I started learning about it, I think it was an ocean to learn. and I loved it. And then I got into so there was this course. नया नया आया था उस time पे WSET level 2. So I thought, why not? It's always good to sharpen your skills and add one more thing to your resume for that matter. So level 2 किया. Then I remember level 3 जब India में आया था, we were the first batch in India to I think to the level 3. Still remember this was quite an expensive course for 5 days.
5 days.
It was a 5-day rigorous course. We had to taste I think about 172 plus minus wines. And then normally about 60-70% people
Such a
pass.
task, right?
I know. It is actually a task. It seems very fancy, but when you're tasting it, so you're not drinking it, right? You're tasting it, you're writing the notes and everything, and you're spitting everything out. By the end of the day, you are obviously, too much drained out, because even if you're sipping it, thoda sa saliva mein reh jata hai, it still hits you. There is a little bit of headache that happens by the evening. Then you have to prepare for your exam by the evening, whatever you studied, because next day morning again you have to get up and be over there. So it sounds fancy. I need to tell it to everyone in the world. It sounds fancy. A lot of people fail that test, and one of the toughest tests is actually Master Sommelier and stuff, which I have also not done. This is the toughest test across the globe, which has been proven by a lot of metrics. I remember एक बहुत पुराना स्टोर रूम था हमारे होटल में, हमने उसको वाइन रूम कन्वर्ट कर दी. And then I got an opportunity to work with Marriott Hotels, majorly in the beverage segment. So that's when we got into the tasting of water, to the tasting of wine, to the tasting of coffees, the tasting of whiskeys and everything. And then I think I got a chance to travel the world, which excited me even more. So went to the wineries, spoke to the wine owners, winemakers. It's a lot of fun as well. I mean, it's interesting, but a lot of fun.
That's fine. तो आपने वहाँ क्या पैरों से कचूमर बनाते हुए देखा अंगूरों का?
यार वो ना सिर्फ
Stuff like that.
वो नहीं होता अभी.
Okay, so is it a proper distillery and process?
Wineries have become really, really, tech savvy, if I may. And depending on which part of the world are you going. So I remember, like, if you go to France, Italy, old school wineries, family house, family-owned wineries, you will see a lot of traditional stuff still happening. But if you go to the fancy wineries, I remember US में Napa Valley, if you go to, because of the technology, exposure that they have, there are machines which can bifurcate a grape by the size, color, whatever, and the speed is almost 3,000 grapes per second. So it's crazy, and I think because of the lot of money that is now pumped in the wine space, there is a lot happening. There's a lot happening. So yeah, Paris थे हम grapes को, we have come beyond that. So,
बहुत सारे तरीके हैं वाइन बनाने के. There's a, I think, press and blow way of wine
Correct.
making. थोड़ा सा बताइए, what exactly is that?
देखिए, eventually what you have to do is take out the juice of the grapes, ferment it, and get the wine out of it. Now, how do you evolve? Like I always say that there are, I keep doing a lot of sessions with corporates and all stuff as well. Usme I always say you have to understand what is the difference between, let's say, 500 rupees a bottle of wine, 5,000 to 50,000 to maybe 5 lakh. And there are wines, in all this entire space. So I think there are a lot of, reasons for one wine to be other than the other. I'll give you a quick thing, which I also learned back in the day.
Definitely our viewers are most interested.
So I always remember the term grape, GREAT, and bifurcate it. So G stands for grape. What is the kind of grape that's going? R stands for the region. Which part of the world is it coming from? E stands for emotion, which is my favorite. There are a lot of stories behind wines, which, I mean, I remember मैं अपनी wife को बोला, let's have a good bottle of wine today. They're like, I'm not in the mood of this particular wine. I want to go for that particular wine. So I told her that this particular wine was owned by Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. And you know what? They're getting divorced and the fight is going on for this vineyard. So I don't know, do you want this? Then she's like, yeah, I want this wine only. So sometimes you don't even know about the wines, but there are stories which, take you back. So I think emotion is very important. A stands for age. Not everything that is aged is good. So you have to be very careful. कौन सी wine और कितनी age? हर किसी का एक prime time होता है और हर किसी का एक down time या up time. So you have to be drinking the right wine at the right age. And T means terroir. Terroir is a lot of other factors. Like what is the kind of wind? I mean, if the grapes are growing, let's say next to a river, versus the grapes are growing in the mountain. Right. These will be two different kind of grapes. So I think these are the factors which sort of define it. I don't know if it is getting too technical.
थोड़ा सा टेस्ट के मामले में थोड़ा सा बताइए कि अच्छी और बेकार वाइन का सिर्फ टेस्ट से हम कैसे थोड़ा सा अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं. Should we look something in the bottle, उसकी कवर पे कुछ देख के, we can quality check in that ways, or with the taste is better?
See, I always say label देख के काफी समझ आ जाता है वाइन के बारे में. If you know how to read a label properly, you can understand exactly what the wine is about. So let's say 50% of the job gets sorted over there only. Yeah, because if you know about the wines, you will know what to expect out of this particular bottle. Then I look at the value for money. वो कितने की है? क्योंकि that matters a lot. I always say. I mean, if I give you a bottle of wine which is 50,000 rupees versus a 700-800 rupees bottle, I should not be comparing both of them because they're at a different price point. Talking about particularly about the taste, I think खराब वाइन तो खराब ही होती है. उसको तो मतलब
कौन सी ऐसी वाइन्स हैं बताइए जो ओवर हाइप्ड है and we should rather stay away from those?
I would not name any brand particularly, but let's say rather I name it. Yeah, what is it? Let's say
आपके होटल में नहीं मिलती है ना?
हाँ?
आपके उधर नहीं मिलती.
मिल जाती है. इनफैक्ट उसकी एलोकेशन होती है. See, अब मैं if I say I bought this bottle of wine, it's called Chateau Cheval Blanc. It's a very well-known, globally well-known wine.
6364.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
That's the golden.
Yeah. I got a year of our anniversary and gave it to my wife. Now it's priceless then, right? So then you'll be like, नहीं यार ये तो overpriced नहीं है. But yeah, I mean, what do you having is what matters. And I always say that initially when you're trying to get into wines, try to get into the easy wines. Don't try to get into the expensive wines.
What are the easy wines?
Easy wines could be, the table wines. For example, if I'm going for an Italian meal, I just pick up a Pinot Grigio, which is, I don't know, 1,500 to 2,000 rupees a bottle.
मैं Sula brand से start करना चाह रहा हूँ.
Sula से शुरू करते हैं. Like Sula की Riesling is a decently good one.
कौन सी वाइन सर?
Riesling. Sula की एक और आती है Rasa. That's their series. Again, now I think the perception is changing, but पहले लोग बोलते थे इंडियन है वाइन तो अच्छी नहीं होगी. अभी भी काफी होगा वो. बट ऐसा नहीं है. थिंक अबाउट इट कि सुला की अगर आप एक 800,000 रुपए की वाइन ले रहे हो, राइट, वर्सेस एक चिलियन वाइन जो इंडिया में इंपोर्ट हो रही है, दैट इज ऑल्सो लेट्स से 800,000. यू विल ऑलवेज फील कि यार इंपोर्टेड है, चिलियन है, बढ़िया होगी. बट you forget that wine, the cost price would be nothing more than 150 rupees because then there are taxes, duties, transportation, and everything. But here, a Sula is giving you a wine which is about, let's say, 800,000 rupees, but its cost price would be much higher than that. So as a liquid, if you go, always try to do blind tasting. When you have a label in your front of your mind, then you feel there are perceptions in the mind. But when you're talking only about liquid, then there is no problem. Like if I give you a whiskey, I'll say ये black label है, तो आप कहोगे यार ये अच्छी होगी, आप मतलब खराब नहीं कर सकते. But if I give you a liquid in the glass and you don't know what it is, that is when you will be able to say कि यार ये अच्छी लगेगी नहीं. So I always say whatever you like is what you should go for. Don't try to be
rightly put. And आपने Sula के बारे में बताया, and what next? Other brands that are reasonable.
India, I think India is really doing well. So Sula, Growers, Fratelli. I think those are the three big brands, and then you have a lot of other brands as well. Charisma is another beautiful brand from Bangalore. You'll be surprised to know either it is found in Bangalore or Karnataka as an area, or in New York. Nowhere in the middle.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good stuff getting produced from India. I mean, it's a need, but I think one has to just look out for it.
Wine has an 8,000 years old history. So बहुत सारी stories जुड़ी हैं इससे, how it traveled across the world.
Sure.
So any story that you can relate how it came to India, or something related to that wine experience, how it exploded across the world.
Yeah, if you really go back in the days, particularly speaking about India, Madeira is technically a wine.
Sure.
If you go back to the sculptures, you will see, I mean, I can go on and on for it, but if you go back, I'll just tell you, holistically, if you go back, even in the books, there have been enough more instances where you've even seen in the sculptures, a glass of wine or whatever. But I think it obviously got lost somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think there was this company called Chateau Indulge, which actually restarted the wine culture in India, and I think 85 or 87 is when they started. And that's how it started growing.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to, I think, Sula to put, Indian wines on the map. Today, it's a company which has done an IPO, which is amazing. And now there are, I think, at least 100 plus wineries in India who've been doing decently good stuff. Whenever I travel, I carry a few bottles of wines from India and give it to a lot of friends. And I think they are all surprised by the kind of quality that India is producing right now. There's a wine called Fratelli Sette. I remember I always carry those bottles, gave it to my cousin in the US, and he was himself surprised. I think the quality is really good.
So overhyped wines. That's what we kind of missed.
आप दो चार controversy करा के जाओगे ना आज?
Now you can just tell us something about that particular variety that we need to stay away from, or anything specific to some kind of ingredients that they use, or anything.
I think again, as I said, go for the wines. Don't go for the price. Go for what are you having? What is the kind of wine that you'll enjoy? So for me right now, if you ask me, it's really, summer as a season going on. I think a good rosé or a good white wine will do. I don't need to open up a fancy Bordeaux, 2 lakh rupees a bottle right now. And there is an occasion for everything, I feel. If it is open at the right occasion, I think that's good. So I'll tell you, again, like you mentioned about overhype, there was this, nightclub that I went to the other day. I was looking at, just relating two things. I'll give you the emotions with the same wine, 2 different ways. For the first time ever in my life, I went to Champagne.
Yeah.
I was excited, like a kid in the candy jar. I literally was making sure as many appointments as I can get, and the labels and everything. I'll name the wine also. I went to Louis Rodra. This champagne house called Louis Rodra. They have a wine called Cristal. We've always, dreamt about that particular wine. We've dreamt of selling that wine. Forget about drinking also. Had the occasion of tasting it a couple of times, and this is about, I think, at least 70,000 to a lakh rupees, depending on which hotel are you buying it at. So I went there, there was this entire jingbang that was done. There was this lady who produced with this particular wine and, told about the story. We spent, I think, good 3.5, 4 hours talking about, Louis Rodra, history, went to the legacy, tasted the wine. I think for half an hour, we were just discussing about the bubbles that come in that particular champagne. We were just talking about the bubbles. And it was like, what is it going on, right? But we were both really enjoying that. So I still have that beautiful memory of that particular wine over there. Cut to last week, I went to this nightclub and I was there. Somebody got it for a bottle of Louis Rodra Cristal. And I got to know through, when you're from the industry, you get to know. And normally in the nightclubs, what happens is there are girls who will be coming with, all the sparkles and everything. And then an entire story will be created around a fancy bottle of wine. So that bottle came and the guy who ordered for it was quite a young guy. And he was not even drinking. So he opened the bottle, poured the entire bottle on his Rolex, and it went down on the floor. So it's the same bottle of wine, right? But 2 different emotions altogether. So for me, that is completely overhyped. No. I'll be like, take any wine. And why do you taking wine? Just take water. I mean, of course, the owner of that particular nightclub was very happy because, of course, the sale was coming up. Yeah. And nothing wrong in it. I'm not judging anyone. Everybody has their own way of doing it. That for me is overhyped. Opening a good bottle of wine at a good occasion.
You respect wine that way, so that's why you might be feeling that sort of. You respect alcohol that way, or
of course,
drink.
Of course,
that might have hurt the sentiments and emotions. So, totally understandable. Now, does it having a different crystal or a glass made out of a different crystal, or does that change your experience?
I'll give you another beautiful example. I had this notion that why do people invest in glasses? Mm-hmm. You should rather invest in a bottle of wine and take basic glasses. That should be enough. Yeah, I remember I went to this beautiful and one of the most respected brand when it comes to glassware is called Riedel. This is by the Riedel family. I think this is the 8th generation that's going on right now in the same business and same fraternity. And I think they've done amazingly crazy job when it comes to evolving in the glasses of the entire industry for that matter. There's this beautiful place, Kofstein, as a small village in Austria. Again, fortunate enough that I had a chance to go over there. All the glasses over there are mouth blown, so you could see the glasses, taste it. So Mr. Riedel, I met and we did a small little tasting. Yeah, he said just go through all these wines and why don't you rate them, one by one. So I went to, I think there was about 7 different wines. So I just rated them, which wine was better, which was not better. And I rated them out of 10, let's say I rated them from 3 as the basic wine and about 8.5, 9 as the top wine. So this was my rating in that particular, or ranking in that particular order. After I ranked them, I showed him, quite good, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, you know what? This was exactly the same bottle of wine poured in 8 different glasses.
That's crazy.
And I was shocked.
That's crazy.
It is. I mean, I was shocked. It's like, ये आप झूठ बोल रहे हो. And then you start judging yourself. It's like, मैंने इतनी पढ़ाई करी, इतना घूमा, इतना कुछ करा.
Is he making a fool of me?
I agree. You know, you're like, and that's when I realized that it's the glass that matters a lot. So these guys have gone to an extent wherein they are not even talking about a red wine and a white wine glass separately. They're talking about red wine, what kind of grape are you using, and what kind of wine is made with what kind of grape. For that, there is a specific glass.
Okay.
So glassware definitely, I feel, impacts a lot, and it definitely. I'll give you the examples. We are having a coffee in this mug. We're liking it, right? A whiskey, soda water in this one might not be as enjoyable, or a coffee in an old-fashioned glass might not be as enjoyable. So I think glass makes a lot of difference.
Makes the aesthetic of the
Definitely. मजा आता है ना से विस्की पकड़ के मतलब that's the reason वो बड़ा glass है नहीं, you feel manly, right? Holding a cosmopolitan in a martini glass.
So किस तरह के customers आते हैं आपके पास? Any weird customers that you have to deal with every now and then? Like Indians get drunk and then kind of throw tantrums in bars. So आपको कैसे experience रहे? How you handle those tantrum makers?
It's universal. I think people get wasted. I think that's very this thing. But it should not be the case.
When culture of drinking is more common and open in foreign countries, so we feel that they have more resistance to getting drunk, and since we
सब जगह बुरा हाल है. No, I think one needs to control. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that's what I always say, and I always say that one should enjoy the drink for the drink, not to get high.
how do you direct novices or new starters who are getting into थोड़ा सा जवान हो रहे हैं and they're tasting wines and alcohol और उस तरह से they're mixing it up.
Sure.
People don't know where to go. So how do you direct an enthusiast to take it the right way?
Again, very simple, no rocket science. Right? Firstly, when you're getting into alcohol, when you're trying to taste a particular beer or wine, whatever, go with the lighter categories like beer, wine. Don't start with your whiskeys. Right? Second, I think you should understand a bit. I'm not saying be intellectual about your liquid, but I think understand your liquid, understand your body, let it calibrate. And again, coming back to the same point, enjoy it more than getting high. Getting high is not really the end goal for me. For me, I always say enjoy, and that's the reason there are
For a commoner, to be honest, getting high is the ultimate goal. So
getting happy high is something which I understand. Getting high, getting wasted, remember, every time whenever I have got wasted a few times. I won't say the time of
you push your limits and
how do you feel after getting wasted? Next day, headache, you're like, shit, God, is bari chalu, agli baar nahi piyunga. So I think there has to be some kind of limit to everything, not only drinking, but everything. And that's how you enjoy it the most.
Okay. So have you gotten into any physical brawl with any customer?
I have seen people or my managers getting into it. I haven't till now. I haven't. I think there have been a couple of cases where we were on the verge of. But then I think good thing with the hotels is that they have security. So you call the security manager, get into the process, and I think that's about it.
There's some celebs, who might act out in a certain way, and even the security might not be able to handle it. So how do you go?
Trust me, security of the hotel can handle a lot of things that you can't imagine. No, there are, and I think there are ways of handling things. But there were a lot of incidents that used to happen after smoking got banned in the public areas.
Right.
I think 2nd October some year, quite some time back, and they were smoking designated areas. So people used to come to bar and like, I want to have a smoke, and you're not allowed inside.
Right.
So I think in banquets, I remember there was this Bombay Times party in Bombay in Taj Hotel. And literally, we as management trainees were running behind people, smoking. People who hide it. They're like, oh, there you go, another one. So I think those were the interesting times. But I think it's a part and parcel of the job.
Did your family feel weird about telling that?
I didn't even tell my family initially what am I doing. They were like, do whatever you want to do.
Okay.
I always say, and I just feel also very, very strongly. Again, family is very innocent, or even people around you are very innocent, right? If you do something.
So how did you break it to them?
No, I told them I'm doing hotel management. My parents had to.
About the Sommelier thing, and
I'm now
I think
under
the
it.
toughest for me was in the WSEC level 3. As I said, it was I think 85 or 90,000 rupees course for 5 days. And for me, I was like, क्या बोलूँ इनको कि मैं वाइन के बारे में सीखने जा रहा हूँ और उसके लिए मैं पैसे दे रहा हूँ. As a common person, you don't understand. It's
Right.
2011, 12 or something like that. So that was, I think, a tough one for me to make them understand. But wait, एक बार आप कमाने लग जाते हो ना, then I think it's okay. So family, one of the stand-up comedians only said this line somewhere. It's like family is innocent. उनको तब तक problem है जब तक कमा रही थे. जब तुम कमा रहे हो तो अपना passion follow करो, no problem.
Truly said, truly said.
That happens.
Since you are a sommelier, अब थोड़ा sommelier बताइए हमारी audience को, what exactly is a sommelier?
So sommelier is a person who would taste wines, who would understand and learn about wines, who would travel the world, learn about, and again, it's fancy from one side. But let's say one of the questions for a sommelier would be compare the soil quality of New Zealand versus Italy.
Mm.
And if this is a limestone soil, if it is a, the other one is a clay soil, what difference would it make on the grape? Eventually making a difference on the wine.
So boring.
It is technically, it is tough. है मतलब वो मेरे को पढ़ते हुए लग रहा था ये एमबीए कर लेनी चाहिए थी. So it is technical. It is a lot of hard work and study as well. But as a sommelier, I think what my job was to make sure that we have a very good wine list. There are wines for all different restaurants. For example, we had a Japanese restaurant. We had a restaurant which was completely Asian. The other one was Indian. So you have to make sure that you have the right kind of wines from the world for your customer to choose from. And wine, I always say again, is that it's not by itself that you enjoy it a lot. I think wine is always paired with food. So a sip of good wine with good food, I think, can make a heavenly combination.
Which is your favorite food with wine?
Favorite food with, yeah, again, very different. Which is your favorite podcast till now? It'll be difficult, right? बहुत सारे अच्छे लगेंगे. So I think
I actually make them. So
there you go. I also make that.
you taste the food, right?
Tasting the food.
Which of them suits best to you? I mean, with your favorite brand of wine. I mean, there might be some oysters or some fish or a piece of vegetable that you generally prefer.
So I think again a little controversial, if I may. Whenever I travel abroad, India में ना beef बंद हो गई है. I like it. So I think a good Cabernet Sauvignon or a good heavy-bodied red wine with a good steak.
Sounds amazing.
पानी आ गया. That's perfect for you.
अच्छा, आप घर की पार्टियों में जाते हो और कई जगह इनवाइट करते होंगे आप. तो when you go out and sit with your friends and order drinks, so ऐसा बोलते हैं लोग, सर आप ही पैक बनाइए थोड़ा, आप तो ज़्यादा.
हाँ, ये प्रॉब्लम है. ये बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. And they expect कुछ और बन जाएगा. ये तो
मैजिकल बन जाएगा.
ये प्रॉब्लम है. सबको लगता है कि हम ही सर्विस करेंगे.
So how do you reject the proposal?
No, I actually don't. I enjoy doing it. I'll be very honest. I enjoy serving. Or
Why is it called a ladies' drink? Is
Which
that a
one?
myth? Wine is called a ladies' drink.
no, not at all.
Well, I have heard from, I think,
Wine is a ladies' drink.
yeah.
No, I think rosé wine के साथ I remember ये starting a myth होता था. Because I feel rosé wine can do really well in India with the kind of weather or the kind of food that we have.
आप किसी भी एक ordinary individual या ऐसे पूछोगे, so I think if you ask them, do you know what would be a lady's choice, so they would go with wine. Of course, I mean it's a very generic answer.
Yeah.
Anybody would get. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not at that part in my book.
Okay,
But,
so,
no, ladies drink. That's what I think. Rosé, because it's pink in color. Holding a glass of rosé, you might feel a little gayish. But I didn't think that's a. I mean, ladies drink nahi hai. There are some cocktails which I would say are more preferred by ladies. But I think it's changing. I mean, it's very sexy for us to see a lady ordering for a good single malt right now.
Right.
I mean, and that's happening. Most of the fancy, amazing red wines, I think we would prefer a lot. I've seen that.
So let's break the notion then, I think.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. It's all unisex.
Absolutely.
Just respect the liquid.
So, what are the nutrients and anti-nutrients that you can find in a good bottle of wine?
यार देखो, healthy वाला angle ना alcohol के साथ लगाना is becoming very cool these days.
नहीं, अब जैसे वाइन का ट्रेंड है, अब मैं बाकी अल्कोहल पे नहीं जाऊंगा. Since it's a common drink in Europe, so they kind of start feeding it to babies 5-6 साल की उम्र से.
That's I think wrong. Yeah, anything intoxication.
I think they kind of tend to get them into that business, and it's very common. So,
See, one has to understand there is a culture for it. Right?
right.
Like I remember when we were reading about wines or the grapes, and in fact there was this French, in fact Czech Republic, she was a sommelier. She was assigned to our hotel for about a year and a half, and we were working very closely.
Right.
So one has to understand, I think, their culture is as such that they've grown up looking at wines around them. But I think it completely depends on what you are, what do you want to be. And there are a lot of people who know a lot about wines without having the fancy titles of sommeliers, like we are showing off right now, sommelier. There are a lot of people who know about wines. So I think it's all about knowledge more than anything else. And I think moderate quantities, right time
It's the right.
is the right way to go for it.
So, what's the benchmark of a good wine?
यार वो खराब नहीं होनी चाहिए बस.
आपके हिसाब से कोई एक standard brand that is the benchmark for you, that you feel is the right taste, right feel, and it's just
Lot of them.
not
Depending on the occasions, lot of them. As I said, like a good bubbly, or a sparkling wine or a prosecco is something that I can have anytime.
Right.
Champagne ke liye I need an occasion or a right kind of champagne. Serious wines, you need something around it, because that's when you're drinking. There has to be an occasion for it, I feel.
Right.
Or sometimes the wine creates an occasion because you're opening that particular bottle.
Right. So, well, what are the serious aspects of being a sommelier? I mean, people tend to think of it's fun, but tell us why people should rather not think of it as fun and as a serious business.
Yeah, serious business to hai. Matlab, to be very honest, it's not a. See, I'll give you the serious night of the wine thing. You are in a hotel. If you are a sommelier, I mean, Indian hotel is still okay. But there's a friend of mine who's working in a beautiful hotel in Maldives, a resort. The guy is maintaining an inventory of nothing less than, I think, about 18 to 20 crores at a given point of time. That's the amount or the value of the wines that is there in the cellar. And the idea of the business is to move, right? If the wines are moving, they're creating business and stuff. Couple of good wrong choices can really make or break the business. So you have to be very careful on what you're doing. And then you have to look at the beverage cost. Like, a lot of times people ask me why the wine's so expensive in India or in the hotels. There's a beverage cost to it, right? You're sitting in a beautiful hotel, a beautiful glass of wine. The glass itself is about 4,000, 10,000 rupees a glass, or it's 10. If you're drinking, of course, it has to be expensive. So I think one has to understand a lot, in-depth knowledge is something that one has to have in order to control that entire system. So it is a serious job. It's not a joke. As I said, even Delhi hotels, Bombay hotels would maintain at least about 3.5 CR inventory. And then that is something which is giving you the experience, right? If you're having, let's say, a pasta, and I give you a wrong wine with it. Wine in itself is good, the pasta in itself is good. But if वो गलत साथ में आ जाए ना,
सही नहीं है.
it can be a disastrous meal for you. So then you won't go back and say, yeah, वो wine अच्छी नहीं थी. तो आप बोलोगे कि वो experience उस hotel में अच्छा नहीं. That the food in the hotel is not that good, or we didn't enjoy it as much. But again, sometimes the combination is like, people ask me what is the best food and beverage combination, right? I'm like, chole bhature and lassi is the best combination, right? It's just a no-brainer. Barish pad rahi hai, pakode and chai is a no-brainer. Like, that's how we have grown up. Think of that as the heavenly combination. Individually, they might be good, but I think when they come together, it's a synergies.
That's when the magic happens.
That's when the magic happens. So when you're combining a food and a wine together, and if there is some kind of magic that's happening in that space, I think that is when you achieve. So as a sommelier, you're very you're supposed to be sure of the fact कि आप क्या दे रहे हो और किसके साथ दे रहे हो. And that can only happen when you understand and you know about the wines inside.
And what is the right way to store wine? I mean, I'm sure a lot of winemakers and sellers are not aware of the whole aesthetic of storing a wine. It's very specific, and I don't think everyday drinkers are aware of it. So,
well, no rocket science, but I think the problem is that a lot of times we confuse room temperature term hai. A lot of times I tell my juniors as well, they're like, red wine is supposed to be had on the room temperature. Or storage room temperature होना चाहिए. White wine को आपको ठंडा करना चाहिए. But you have to understand that room temperature in Europe and room temperature in India is very different. And particularly in a city like Delhi, it gets fluctuating. Like, we have seen winters which are 1-2 degrees as well. And we are seeing summers which are 35-40 degrees as well. So I think controlling the temperature fluctuations is what I always say is very important in a wine. And again, the fancier the wine, the more maintenance it would require. So somewhere in the dark space, control temperature, and normally wine ka bottle mein na, if you see the corks are there. So if you keep it slanting, that's always better, so that the liquid can touch the cork.
Right.
उससे क्या होता है कि
Body effect.
Yeah. And body effect भी है, but cork doesn't shrink.
Right.
So there is no oxidation that can happen, and the moisture remains from the inside. So slanting bottles, dark room, maintain temperature. I think that's what it is.
Openers सबके different होते हैं, it's very specific to wines when it comes, but we have demystified it right now. I mean, it's wonderful. Now you're in hotel management graduate, right? You have done it from Shimla.
Yeah.
But आपकी book में आपने लिखा है, there's a very good line that says, I wasted 3 years of my life.
That was just
No, it's out there,
yeah.
You can take that back. So why I feel that 3 years wasted? Me being personally a Himachali, I feel offended.
No. Himachal I love. I still have. In fact, the water brand is getting packaged in Himachal only. I think mountains is that I also have some kind of secret love. And there is definitely a big soft corner about mountains. But I think I feel up to it's become much better. But earlier, definitely a lot of learnings from hotel school. But I feel there was a lot of gap between a hotel school and when you reach the hotel. Practical experience of the industry. It is reducing by the day and reducing because of the experience as well. But when we were working when we were studying in the hotel school, and when we reached a hotel during our internship or in the job, I think it was a culture shock. So if you see, maximum attrition happens during that time. Right. In the first year or the second year of people getting out of the college and working in the hotel, people leave.
A lot of reality check happens even when they go for training in hotels.
Absolutely.
I know people who have left the trainings and are just pursuing something else right now, and they just couldn't deal with the cleaning up the toilets, scraping the outside area, and cleaning the balconies, cleaning the linens, washing the clothes. It was hell tough and not everybody can do it. And they enter this area, pure galat reason USA, and they kind of drop out.
Lot of reasons. Yeah, I still speak with a lot of people with regards to all these kids who are getting into hotel management. So we work very closely with this company called Center of Career Development, wherein we also assist when it comes to hotel management as a career. Firstly, people feel it's hotel management, so it has all to do with management and nothing to do with the beginning. But they don't realize that you have to slog initially 2 years, and it's a tough job. It's not an easy job. Second, I think the ego issues are big. So if I go to if you spend a decently good amount of money and you're a BSc graduate or a hotel management graduate, you don't feel that you will go in a hotel and wipe a plate. Right. But you have to do it. And nothing wrong with it. Like today,
I spend lakhs. I don't want to wash a plate. Why would?
Absolutely, that's what the feeling is, right? Right now, it has still become much better when it comes to hotels, the departments, this, that. But even now, I always say that when you get into a hotel, like I remember management training ke baad, we used to get into different departments and stuff. Start from the lowest possible rank.
So what's with the stipend? They get like $400 a month in a lot of places. So that's not a stipend. That's a daily wage of that they're giving them as charity.
So again, different ways of thinking that we can. But I think it's a great exposure that you're getting. And if you are interested in becoming a best hotelier, some of the top guys in the system that I know, the legends of the industry right now, and maybe earning in 2-3 CR sort of packages in a year, they have also started from there. There's nothing wrong in it. It's just that one has to slog initially. Because see, I always say, you cannot be a hollow manager over the period of time. If you've grown from the scratch, if you learn from the scratch, and if you got your hands dirty, I think when you grow up, then you can understand better in terms of what's happening on the ground. So I mean, nothing wrong in it, to be very honest. A lot of people come to me, complain, कि sir, ये क्या है, ऐसे थोड़ा ना करेंगे, and the salaries are very low, stipends are low. But nothing wrong with it, I think. It is improving as a system, but nothing wrong with it.
Okay. You find washing dishes for 30 days is reasonable at $400?
For how long?
I mean, it's an internship. I mean, like training, 2 months training. Or
2 months training, I think you should be paying for You should be paying for it rather than getting out. I am a tub master.
जहाँ से most of the business इंडिया में spread होता है, and the other place of अनिल अंबानी, वहाँ पे 500 होटल मैनेजमेंट ग्रेजुएट्स काम करते हैं, and they are like his personal assistants or helpers, or how do you put it? That's the term up to you. आपको कैसा feel होता है when you listen to it as they are acting as a personal aid, even though to Anil Ambani?
So what the knowledge that I have or the exposure that I have might not be the right person for it, but it is operated like a hotel. And I know for the fact that it is operated by Overwoods as over a hotel. So it's a separate unit. People working over there are working like I'll be working in a hotel. I could be posted. Let's say if I'm working in Oberoi, Bombay, I could be posted in Antilla as an outlet or as one of the hotels for that. So I think nothing right or wrong about it. I mean, of course, controversy के लिए तो बहुत कुछ है.
No, I was just curious. I mean, how does it work? I'm not sure about the interior.
I think it works exactly like a hotel is what I feel. I mean, if I was to work for them and maintain the entire house, I'd maintain it like a hotel. And there are different departments, right from a food and beverage to a production where you'll have a range of chefs because obviously they're entertaining. I mean, see, one side is to just say कि Ambani ji के अपने personal butlers हैं. Second, you have to understand the kind of people that they are dealing with, right? The kind of meetings, the kind of serious stuff that's happening in that particular house. Right. So if somebody is coming, I think they deserve that kind of service as well. There is a theater, I believe, which is about 50 people or 100 people theater, I think. So now, once you come out of that theater, you will have to, of course, host them, right? You can't just say, "Chalo ji, ho gaya." And you can't just put a tent, overnight. So I think it is required more than anything else. And I think one understands all these things closely once you understand the sensitivity of the situation as well. Right. So again, it is about what is the perception that one has. Today, if I go, let's say, to a chambers, and if I want to have a meeting, it might be overhyped for us. It'll be like, why do you need it? But let's say if a Brazil Prime Minister is coming to meet, let's say, Prime Minister of India, you would need that kind of setting. If there is a deal which is, I don't know, if there are two businessmen meeting for a huge business deal, I think that is required. So nothing right or wrong about it, but I think it is, and they deserve it. I mean, they've done a fantastic job. They deserve it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not the one who is making judgment. I'm just curious about how do you perceive it, how do you feel it, and you have.
So I take it very seriously. They are paying customers. As simple as that.
Wow. And there's water.
Yes.
Responsible water. Water or UK water. What is it?
Okay, इसका थोड़ा सा story है. This one happened to me because this was a problem which I was facing myself. So I was in Marriott. Everybody wanted to get out of plastic. Right. Likewise, I was also trying to do that. But I think when you look at removing plastic, the only option that we had was glass. Glass has three major issues. One, the cost was very high, compared to a plastic. Plastic bottle was 25, 30, 40 rupees. Even if the fancy, brand. Glass was going to about 80, 90 rupees. So one, the cost was very high. Second, it was not very functional. So for example, if I had to do it in a fancy fine dine restaurant, I could do that. No problems. People are ready to pay us. But think about it. Indian weddings, Indian social gatherings is about 800 plus minus on an average. Usme glass ka bottle lagana was very tough. Rooms, Marriott there are about 523 rooms. I remember this year when we did the calculation, we were using about 17 lakh bottles a year. And those many bottles, even if I cross both the stages and I get the glass bottles, to even dispose of glass bottles at that number was very high. So, and then third most important thing, I realized that glass was not even as sustainable as it may sound. Like plastic we know is not good. Glass we feel is better, but it's not very sustainable. So I think this thought came into mind when I was we found this beautiful source of water. My partner Brigu stays right next to the source in Solon. So we found this beautiful source of water. We got it tested, and then we were very happy with the entire quality of the water, which excited us to start it. And we were on the verge of getting it to glass, and we realized that nahi yaar, ye to meri problem. And that's when I think this idea of putting water in a can came. And you're drinking beer out of a can, you're drinking Coke, Pepsis out of a can. Why not water? And when we did a bit of R&D around the globe, we realized there are a couple of good companies. In London, there was a company. US, there was a couple of companies. Vietnam had just started water in a can. And then we were like, oh, wow, it makes a lot of sense. So let's do it.
Like water in a can won't sell for like $60 though. It would be little.
Well, it depends, right?
I mean, to the masses.
Sure.
Yes, I mean, to the masses.
With due respect,
Movie halls may have maybe inside the PVRs or airports or parties. You can sell there. But I think usually, मैंने एक आपका ad देखा था. There was this comedian who did this ad. What was his name?
oh, Gaurav.
Gaurav. He was doing the ad और उसने price देखा उसके थूक गटक लिया उसने 1 minute.
No, I get your point. And very honestly speaking, we have not made it for masses. It is simple. So pani mein there are 2-3 different kinds of water, right? One is the RO water that you're drinking, which is a packaged drinking water, right? It's Kinley, Distillery, Aquafina. It's your daily drinking water or packaged drinking water. That's in a particular segment of pricing as well. And they're a mass brand. There is a price point to it and stuff. Then there is something known as natural spring water. Now globally, there are natural spring waters around the globe, which is supposedly one of the best waters to be consumed. इसको हम हिंदी में पहाड़ी भाषा में चश्मा बोलते हैं, amplifier in fancy language. But that's what it is. So natural spring water के case में, if you do the competition, trust me when I say this to you, I know it's very difficult for me to convince somebody right now. Our customers have come back to us and said, but sir, iska please price बढ़ाओ.
Okay.
बढ़ाओ. And we haven't been very strict when it comes to. Now, if you compare this particular pricing with a lot of natural spring waters in the market,
Mineral content is तरह से better है इसका from other.
So there are 3 things that you look at in terms of the water quality. So major 3 things. Just give it a parameters you check it. One is the mineral content. So the content of mineral in this particular water is naturally present. So I'm not adding any minerals to it. Yeah, the minerals are naturally present in the water itself.
Right.
And if you see globally, there are waters which are, even in India, Indian waters are more expensive than these waters. The second is the pH value, which is alkaline towards acid. So we are towards alkaline water. We are not an alkaline water because we're not changing or touching the property. We are about 7.4, 7.6, 7.8 max. That's the bracket that we are in, which is very good. And third is a TDS. What is the total dissolved solid? Which is why you feel water to be a little more heavier than the usual waters. You love mountains. You love Himachal. You're from Himachal. Pahadi pani jo hota hai, that is so good, it's so pure.
Tasty, very sweet, and so soft to drink.
Please go for it and have a sip, and you'll understand it yourself.
All right, let's try.
And this is the best way of packaging as well. The can is made with almost 76% recycled aluminum already.
Want to try? That's good.
So
It's like no.
reminds you of mountain water. So yeah, so I think the idea is not to be fancy and over expensive water, but to be the best quality, what we can get, and to package in the best way possible, and as sustainable as possible. So responsible as a word also came because there are a lot of things that we are doing to be responsible. And water, we wanted to play around with this word because normally now you don't feel that water will be in the can. So I think when you're writing water as a brand name, I think half of that problem gets solved. So if I write anything else over here, you'll still feel कि आप can बोलूँगा तो कुछ निकलेगा,
Right.
पानी नहीं निकलेगा. So I think that was the idea behind responsible water as a brand.
अब पानी भी निकलेगा लोगों और वो महंगा भी पड़ेगा. Just kidding. I mean, of course, the water is absolutely tasteless, not tasty, tasteless, but it's very soft and good to drink. So absolutely, I mean, whoever can afford it should go for it rather than going for a soft drink or anything else for that matter.
Best beverage,
Best beverage. Best beverage. We are heading to the final section. मैं quickly आपसे थोड़ा सा Kili के बारे में जानना चाहूँगा. That was really interesting for me that you started a LGBTQ dating app. That was interesting. Tell me about the idea and the progression so far.
So I'll tell you, this idea was actually my co-founders. It's not my idea. He said, you know what we want to do. This is what I wanted to do. Create a dating app for only the community. And one thing led to the other. We had a lot of discussion. But I think there was a point of time when I started speaking with a lot of people from the community as well. And I feel that it is the basic right? It's a basic human
Right is fine, but were Tinder and other platforms failing in that matter? Because I think there was a good reach of,
Sure.
of individuals in these terms. So
I'll tell you what is the problem. So we did two major things. So when I spoke with all these guys, we realized that there was a lot of catfishing, a lot of scamming that was happening on all the apps. So what we said was that we will create a safe dating app platform. And since we were from the hospitality industry ourselves, we spoke to a few hotel owners and a few people from the industry, and we said the idea was essentially that you go on an app, you find your companion rather than just a date. Uh, Without exchanging the numbers, there is a way or there is a mechanism wherein you can actually book a table of any restaurant or a bar, which is supposedly a safe LGBTQ dating zone from that app itself. So, for example, you and I, we both swipe right and we both want to go, outside. What usually happens in any other app or a platform is that we will exchange numbers, and then we end up meeting in a place which is not very safe.
Yeah.
And that's where all the blackmailing, catfishing, even murders have happened.
Right.
Yeah. So on one side, you were creating this online platform for companionship and finding the right, partner. On the other side, we were actually sensitizing a lot of outlets. You'll be surprised. I know it is a very common topic right now to discuss about LGBTQ, and right now, Pride one going on and stuff. A lot of people don't even know the full form. They don't know what to do. We spoke to, I remember this bar manager, and we asked him very, simply. I remember it was Shivam and me, we were together only. We were like, we are a gay couple. Would you let us enter? I mean, is that normally stacks are not allowed and stuff in certain areas. The guy didn't know what are the policies. And to be very honest, most of the hospitality, restaurants, bars, hotels, there is no specific policy on how to handle and what to do. So it depends on the manager or his personal understanding of the subject. कि वो आपको enter भी करने देगा कि नहीं करने देगा, right? So I think that is what we were trying to do. So now we have a lot of partners, so to speak, who are on board. Easy Diner as a platform was very, very supportive. So there, through them we are booking the tables and we're sensitizing one area. And the idea is basically find a companion without exchanging numbers, go out publicly, wherever you want to go, spend some time and see if you feel like going ahead, exchange the numbers. If you don't, move on. And I think the idea is not. A lot of other apps, what they're doing is it's casual hookup, one night stand, and stuff like that, right? The idea over here was a little more serious companionship. So I think we were very serious. Like we could have taken, this. I think right now there are about 100,000, a lakh plus downloads. We could have easily done 4.5, 5 lakh in this span of time. But we were very sure of the security of the app. Yeah. So if you go on the app, I think there are enough and more features. You selfie low, then only you need to be approved as a user. You have to fill in all the details and stuff. So
in this competitive market, isn't that going to hamper the progress or the kind of revenue that you want to generate?
So, absolutely. I think your point, spot on with that particular question. It is, what do you want, right? Eventually, do you want quality or do you want quantity? Now, quantity we could not fight. There are enough and more apps talking about huge numbers. So I think quality is where we wanted to go. So we might have less numbers initially, but I think, it would be taken much more seriously as the app. And this all came out after speaking to a lot of people from the community. Right. I mean, I'm fortunate I have a lot of friends from the community. When I speak with them, they tell me what are the problems with other apps. And that's how we realized and we understood and this is the way to go.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for taking out the time today.
No, pleasure.
Such a pleasure having you here. And,
my pleasure.
Thank you, Ankur Chawla, the one and only join us in this club, the Avenue Club, and hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And aapne agar enjoy kiya, make sure to subscribe and join the club and get as much of wonderful, amazing, and insightful content from individuals like himself. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Like, subscribe.
Done. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great time, guys.